just turn up, sitting around, twiddling the thumbs, you know, nothing much exciting to do at the moment. Wait to sound check. Eat some sandwiches, steal the chocolate before Danny gets hold of them. Things like that really, you know, simple things.
Well, I drove down from Kettering, where I'm sort of currently residing, last night. So I'm just being Mr. Quiet and considered, you know.
And again, side.
Basically.
I mean, this is just sort of a one-off, really. You know, it serves as a benefit as well for a new animal rights organisation, which I hadn't really heard of, to be really honest, called SHAC, SHAC, I guess. Yeah, they're just like a general animal rights lobbying movement.
So it's basically all profits go.
Yeah.
Go to.
Yeah.
So you don't really get sort of paid any money.
No. It's a benefit as benefits generally go. Yeah. But a lot of other causes, you know, rely on people like us, really, you know, to help them along the way, you know, and you know, raise the necessary funds. I mean, we make probably an absolutely hellish noise to most people, but the sentiment and the meaning underneath, you know, the ethos of it is very much another thing, you know.
My name is Tony Hooligan, and that is actually my name. I was born it. And it's Stop Hunting Animal Cruelty, which is SHAC for short. Basically, we're Stop Hunting Animal Cruelty. Hunting and Life Science is a laboratory just near Cambridge off the A1, where up to 500 animals are killed every single day in animal exploitation. Before this, we were doing the Hillgrove Cats campaign, and before that we had the Consort Beagles campaign. Both of these establishments we've now closed down, and we're now working on hunting them, which is one of our biggest projects so far. But during doing this, we've taken on some of the biggest financial industries and got them to collapse. So it just basically proves that if people use their own initiatives and get together, you can stop most exploitation. It's just using your imagination and a bit of initiative.
So when sort of Barney approached you with a project like this, you know, you're totally up for?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we all sort of have different opinions and views, you know, but that's one that I think most people kind of share the same opinion, really. You know, it's not as if, you know, I mean, to get it for sport, isn't it, really? It's pretty out of order on any terms, I think, really, I guess. So yeah, you know, it fits with what Barney's really into, so we thought, yeah, cool.
As a band of five individuals, obviously we're always going to think differently on certain things, but on the important issues we generally all moving in the right direction. You know, it's just we have differing levels of, you know, where we sort of stand, and you know, and that sort of thing. But you know, as I say, I think it's necessary for us to be doing something like this because we've been around now for 20 years. You know, over 20 years now. You know, I must admit that I do find it difficult to write about things like this without sounding cliche. Because if I think sometimes if you sound cliche when you try and write, you know, lyrically, it can sort of dampen the effect of what you're trying to write about, you know. So I try and make it write creatively, but dealing with those aspects, you know. But if you look back through the albums, then you read between the lines, you know, you'll see there's a lot of things dealing with everything, you know, people's disregard for other people, you know, animal rights, equality, everything.
You're writing a new album, then another studio album coming up, and you mentioned before that you sort of often gather around a 4-track. Yeah. Is that the way you sort of tend to do things, demoing?
Yeah. A lot of the ideas usually end up where they start on 4-track, you know, just sitting there with the guitar. I mean, me, Jesse and Mitch, we all write individually pretty much, and we tend to sort of, we don't really jam too much as a band. Like a lot of bands get together and they'll have one riff and then it'll all start from there. We tend to have sort of concrete songs kind of finished, then we sort of, you know, expand on that really. But it usually starts on a 4-track, yeah. Just sit, you know, strumming around, you know. I mean, I think the nature of recording albums and stuff is, for me anyway, I had a lot of stuff ready, or roughly worked out after we'd done the last album. So you have to tour that before you get around to doing the new one. So you almost have songs in reserve, you know, almost, you know. So you're almost ahead of the game, you know.
We all write together, actually. I mean, we live in the same house. Danny, Shane, Mitch, and myself, we all live in the same house. So you could wake up in the morning with a guitar, like, check out this riff, dude. And, you know, it's just like, oh, I got an idea that might work with that. Or you might have a whole song, or, it just, there's no set pattern, really.
And I write the stuff on guitar. And I think, well, Mitch, he usually puts his stuff together probably about 2 months before he knows we're about to start working on stuff, because he likes to hear what other people are doing, you know.
It's intense. Maybe people will definitely say it's more old school, but I don't know. The songs are really straightforward, very intense, in your face. But there's like a lot of catchy, really heavy breaks and stuff like that. It has a lot in common with the last album, but still, it's like, I don't know, it's faster. And the lyrics, what I saw with Barney, with the vocals and stuff, everything seems to come together really like framework or something. So yeah, it should be interesting.
And Jesse just has tapes of riffs, loads of riffs, you know. So he'll just backtrack through what he's recorded over the months and year almost, you know, and sort of say, well, I've got these together, let's put it down, you know.
So they're sitting down in the front room, they hear a riff blasting out from the upper floors. And
Probably, yeah, something like that. Or like you just go up and say, what was that thing you were playing? And you'll be like, oh, I was just messing around, I was just tuning or something. I'm like, that sounded cool, do it again.
Good afternoon, I'm Dom Lawson from Kerrang magazine and the popular beat combo Matter. It's kind of 1987, I think, 1988. I always used to be an obsessive listener to John Peel's show on Radio 1. And he had, I can't remember whether it was a session or he played some tracks off Scum, but basically, if that was the first time I heard Napalm Death, was kind of in bed, listening to my radio under the covers when I was like 15 or like 1 in the morning or whatever, and played Napalm Death, and it just absolutely blew me away. It's the most fucking amazing thing I've ever heard. Totally changed my perception of music. I was into Slayer and Creator and all the kind of thrash bands and stuff, but Napalm's a different matter. It was just a pure brutality and just aggression and everything else. And yet, when you buy their records, when I picked up the first album, you read the lyrics and all their songs are actually about something, important things that matter to people, and it just kind of, it was exactly, in a nutshell, was exactly what I wanted from music. But everybody's, my mum knows who Napalm Death are, My mum's in her 60s, she knows perfectly well who they are and what they stand for, and I think that's true of a lot of people, And as I say, the most important thing is they're still relevant. What they do now is as exciting musically as it was when they started, and they still make most other bands playing in their field of music look a bit half-assed in comparison, because they're just, they are the kings of what they do.
I was talking to Dom Lawson earlier about sort of Napalm sort of being a household name now. As for the future, do you see your band trying to get to a wider audience?
Yeah, well, this is the whole thing, the way I sort of see it is if we stick, if we throw ourselves at a wall and we stick, then so be it. But there's no point in us doing it by like sort of moulding ourselves in a particular way to try and gain that acceptance. In other words, trying to tailor ourselves to people that we think might appreciate us if we did this, if we took the rough edges off this or that, because it would destroy the essence of what we've been building for the last 20 years. And to be honest, I don't want to be the one to kind of sully the Napalm Death name by doing that, because I think it's just pointless, and it undermines and it's kind of it's a slur. That would be like a slur on everything that we've worked towards in the past onwards, really, you know. So, you know, we're sort of quite happy to continue as we are. Plus, you know, when you've been writing songs as us five, this particular incarnation of the band has been together for like 11 years now, nearly 12 years, and you get used to writing in a particular way, and you get comfortable with your stylistics and that, you know, in terms of, you know, the music you're writing. So you write that certain way, and it's natural then, and it's got soul and it's got spirit, because you're doing what you know best, you know, while all the time, trying to be progressive, you know, and not make things stale, but, you know, sticking to what is the core of what made you what you are in the first place, you know. That's really important, you know.
But, you know, you can try so much experimentation with harmonies and guitar intricacies and things like that, samples or whatever, keyboards or that. But with the vocals thing, it's like Barney has a very unique style of singing, and when it gets into melodic territory, it's kind of like, well, it's either time to start singing like melodies or just kind of like, you know, there is a fine line of like what can enhance a song sometimes vocally wouldn't mean you'd need some melody or something, but like with the screaming thing, it's like we had to like bounce it around, and sometimes it's more like a complete picture when everything's just in your face.
The thing is, I mean, we've been through some extremely testing times, you know, as a band, where we could have quite easily have like knocked it all on the head, because, you know, we went through the times when, I mean, you say, talking about filling out venues, well, we went through a time when, quite frankly, you know, we couldn't we couldn't really, you know, that some of the venues were embarrassingly empty. I wouldn't be, I'd be lying if I said that there were times when I'm out on tour and stuff, and I've been out for a while, that I don't think kind of wake up one day and go, what the hell am I doing here, you know, as would anyone else would tell you, you know, I'm sure in the band we were all a bit depressed about it, but, you know, somehow, and I don't even remember sort of exactly how it goes now, but somehow we just picked ourselves up and just carried on, and convinced ourselves there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and there was, you know, consequently.
Lads, can we just do one with the PA off for the levels up here?
Yeah. You want to do a proper of us fucking running around and stuff?
No, just run through.
Ah, just run through it, just normal, just normal.
Just so we've got a copy of it.
Ah, right, now I'm serious.
It'll be about half an hour before the
Right, so we can just do it like this, as we are, yeah.
And I think all they're doing is just trying to get some sound.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet, yeah.
So yeah, on stage, Barney's quite sort of, you know, energetic set, obviously. Yeah. So it's hard work, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I'd love to be able to say, oh, it's a breeze all the time, but it ain't. Obviously, we make it hard work because we write the music, you know. So we make it as intense as we possibly can. So, of course, that's always going to have the certain effects, you know, on the body, you know, when you're playing it. But, I mean, not to say melodramatic or anything. And the hard work's probably, because that almost makes you sound, I don't know, like, I don't know. But it's very testing, yeah, sometimes, definitely, to get the full. Because we're always conscious of making the live show as intense as we possibly can, you know. Because as far as I'm concerned, if kids come down and pay you money, you know, to see a show, I want to give them the best, the absolute best that I can. I mean, I've seen bands just going through the motions, you know, bands that are 10 times less, you know, less raw and intense than what we are, just totally going through the motions. And to me, that's just like, that's not really out of order, you know what I mean?
But at the end of the day, it's when you get on stage, it doesn't matter where you are, you're on stage, you're playing, you know, to people. Doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where you are.
Whereabouts in America did you grow up?
Huntington Park, same town Slayer's from. You know, it's a bit on the south central side, a bit rough, a bit violent, a lot of gang infestation. And when I came to England, I was like, no graffiti, no, you know, you didn't have to watch your back so much, you know. Well, I used to do a fanzine, and I used to trade with Shane and Mickey, the old drummer, and I would do like scene reports for magazines in California. So I would contact them, and they would tell me like, oh, Extreme Noise Terror, the new Napalm, Carcass, all the English grind or hardcore bands, and then I would send them American hardcore bands, you know, corresponding. And one day they just called me up and they said, you know, you want to come over? We're doing a tour, and you know, I used to be in a band called Terrorizer. They liked the style, and they invited me to come over. So I came over. I just came over because I'd never been to Europe. I thought, well, I never met these guys. I only know them through letters and phone calls. Hey, but give it a crack. I couldn't understand anybody, you know, especially Shane drunk. I was like, he mumbles when he's sober. I was like, ah.
When you play music as extreme, as uncompromising as this, I actually think it helps you appreciate, you know, the sphere of you know, music. And yeah, I mean, as individuals in a band, we listen to absolutely anything and everything. I mean, everything from the lightest ambient kind of music to right through to the craziest of crazy that other bands that are doing a similar things to what we do, and etc. etc. You know, so massive spectrum of everything, really. Yeah.
But like, well, recently, if I was going to chill out to something, it would be a, you know, Goldfrapp. You hear the Goldfrapp?
Yeah.
I really like that because I'm sort of late. I mean, obviously the tail end of the '60s, and I'm a massive. I like soundtrack music. I'm a massive fan of the James Bond films. So the stuff that Goldfrapp does with the nice female vocals, you know, over that sort of '60s kind of orchestrated sound is really nice. Metal, you know, standard heavy metal, Priest, Saxon, Iron Maiden, stuff like that, Sabbath, Led Zeppelin.
At the moment, I've been getting into like a little bit of black metal stuff, Jimmy Borger, Dissection. I love Therion. Therion is like, I know it's crazy, but it's still the old traditional stuff, Venom, your Slayers, Metallica, more early-ish Metallica, just all sorts really. A bit of, I wouldn't say grunge, but like bands like Jane's Addiction. Music is music. I mean, I don't judge it. I just listen to it.
When I'm at home, I usually listen to music with my daughter, the type of stuff she would listen to, or like the Cardigans or the Cranberries or things like that. She likes to sing, so I play her like the Beatles and things so she can learn like different words and lyrics and stuff. When we go out, it's like I prefer to hear like old school metal sort of stuff. That's still exciting, you know. You hear things and you go, wow, is that still there? What you remember like as a kid, and it's like, wow.
When I go out on tour, you know, when I've done doing shows night after night, and after I come off stage, I prefer not to listen to music at all, to be honest, because my head's just shot by then, you know, and I can't really take anything in. When I've finished on tour, I'd rather just sort of sit down with a book, really. Yeah, perhaps go out and have a good time, you know, after the gig, and, you know, meet some people and just get out and about and do a bit of that, you know, where possible. But, you know, for mellowing out and stuff, I'd rather get a book or something like that. Because I just don't want to listen to anything too, you know, like sort of too raucous, you know, after I've finished, because as I say, my head's just spinning usually after we've done a Napalm. I guess it's the older oxygen deprivation or whatever.
I like a lot of horror books. I mean, I'm reading actually that book, Donnie Brasco. You've probably seen the movie. It's FBI guy who sort of infiltrated the mafia. So I've been reading that lately because it's quite different to the film in many ways, but usually horror books, or, you know, I write a few science fiction books and stuff like that, you know. Sometimes some real life kind of books as well, sort of serial killers maybe, but not too much. But horror films, horror books are my favourites, I suppose. Books like there's a book called The Necroscope. There's a series of books by a guy called Brian Lumley, which is pretty good. There's about 13 books. And there's a guy called Michael Slade, who's I guess a lawyer in Canada, and he writes about sort of real life serial killers, I suppose, but with a weird twinge, sort of a more, I guess, mystical sort of tinge to them, I suppose. They're pretty good.
You know, I like all sorts of books. I like fiction and, you know, kind of fantasy books. But most of all, I mean, I like a lot of political books, you know.
The band sort of is relatively political. Use some of the American political issues as well to influence some of your writing. Or...
Sure, there's bits and bobs of everything. You know, we talk about all the governments in the world. There's none better than any other. I mean, I wouldn't say the English government's any better than America. They're all corrupt, really. And I don't know, it's all about control and keeping a log on people and knowing everything they ever said or thought or wrote or read or bought or what they do in their spare time and everything. It's all like information. So this is the age of information, and politically, it's like you can follow that route, but what they're doing really is just watching everybody.
I think a lot of people don't actually want to know, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people take the general line, you know, that things are the way they are because they're meant to be that way. And you know, obviously, why should it be, you know? The sort of hypocrisy with which sometimes in which the major superpower governments act, you know, they condemn sort of certain things, you know, things that they are equally guilty of, yet it's all right for them to do it because they are, you know, the superpowers, but it's not all right for someone else to go and do it, you know. You know, I'm not naive or stupid enough to think that we as Napalm Death as a five-piece can't change the world, you know. But I do find there's a certain attitude within general societies that people say, well, we can't change the world, so why should we bother at all? And that's the whole point, you know. The more people that get themselves turned on, even if they don't particularly want to participate to a great degree, the more people, the more awareness there is, and the more active awareness there is, you know, then it gives the process a foothold, you know, to move along from there, you know what I mean? And that's the whole point, you know. We have got lives to lead, and it doesn't mean you have to be obsessed with this whole thing like 24 hours a day. But at least I think if people showed a bit more, you know, willingness to understand, you know, why things are the way they are and not just take some accepted line, you know what I mean? I think things would be possibly be a lot more tolerance in society and a lot more understanding, and also a lot more opposition to things that are, you know, things that are being done without our say-so, you know, our knowledge.
Not bad, pretty good, sober, but you know, pretty good.
Quite handy that they've got a bar.
It is unfortunate I can't drink though. I've got to lay off the beer for a while. I've been a naughty lad and I consumed too much beer on our Scandinavian tour recently, so I've got to lay off the alcohol for a while and give myself a rest. So I'm sober today, unfortunately. But there you go. What do you do?
What happened?
Just too much. I was hanging out with, well, basically Nick Barker, who's the drummer of a Norwegian black metal band called Dimmy Borgir. He's a good friend of mine. He was on tour with us. We were in Scandinavia, where they come from. We've basically got a lot of friends in bands from over there, Entombed, The Haunted, several other bands. And just every night turned into a party. So halfway through, you know, I was like back complaints, you know, all that sort of stuff. And the last show in Copenhagen took its toll on me, and I ended up in hospital in Germany, actually 2 days later. So it was reasonably serious. So, you know, there you go.
Doctor's orders.
Yeah, don't drink for a while. Or possibly forever, actually, but, you know, they always tell you that, don't they? You know what I mean? Give me 12 months and I'll see what happens, you know.
I don't do anything at all. I mean, I don't drink, don't take drugs. anything like that at all. Try and keep myself healthy, you know. It sounds really boring, but I've been through all that stuff. I mean, I was an alky, you know, like back a few years ago, and I don't want to go there again, you know what I mean? So for my own state of mind and for my general fitness for doing this, it's better that I don't, you know. But I think you can have a laugh without doing any of that stuff. If you want to do it, great, go for your life, you know. But me personally, I'd rather not, you know.
So, you know, when you're on these grilling tours and it is hard work, I mean, what happens when you start getting tired?
You just go through the barrier, to be honest, because you get up in the daytime and, you know, when it comes so far into a tour, you feel as tired. It comes to the point where you feel as tired as what you did the night before. Even though sleep is necessary, sleep doesn't actually help anymore, you know. So you're just completely shagged out. You know, but you just have to go through it, and when you go out on stage, somehow you always manage to be able to pull yourself up, and even though you're feeling like dirt, you know, you still, at least us, we're conscious of making it still, you know, have that impact to it.
Quite a sparse one, really, yeah. TV would be nice, or something, or you know, such PlayStation or something. Sometimes you get that, but usually they're just you know, bog standard dressing rooms. I mean, I think on a long tour, it tends to be during the day, unless you're near a city. You know, if you're in a city where you're playing, then usually go out and check out what's going on around. But sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere, so you end up just sitting around the venue, you know, reading a book or whatever. That's just general daily gig life, I guess. You know, kind of different to what probably people expect, I suppose. You know.
From now until the gig, then, it's just generally.
Yeah, generally sort of just the time, you know, we were talking about hurry up and wait sort of thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I'm going to eat, because I have to eat, try and time it so I eat like 3 hours before stage time, which I'm actually over by now, but because my digestion, I mean, if I get on stage after an hour and I've just eaten a meal, forget it. A, it's going to make me throw up. B, it's going to give me stomach cramps, so I can't like sort of run around. And the way the vocals are, it's a deep thing. It comes from deep down here, so if it's coming from there, my stomach's full. It's not going to feel very good at all. You know what I mean?
What flavour have you got there?
Chicken salad and mayonnaise left out of the fridge, which probably means another 2 hours I'll have the shits. Probably. Something like that anyway.
I mean, has anything like that ever happened?
All the time, yeah. Just, you know, I mean, usually in Europe, you just, different food, you know, different times and stuff. It's usually, to be blatantly honest, it's like, you either can't go or you're going all the time, basically, you know, so that's just standard tour practice, really, you know. And you can't do anything too solid on the buses neither, so you have to plan it strategically, you know, if that makes any sense.
So, yeah. That's sort of a question that a lot of people might be interested in, is your voice, and
right.
Like how, with this sort of like a vocal style, you know, what, do you have to look after it in any special ways, or?
No, I mean, I don't, not at all. I'm really lucky. You know, that I can sort of do this whole thing without having too many problems. I mean, if I get a cold or I'm on tour and you know, for example, I got an ear infection when I was on the last tour, and it knocked my balance, you know, my inner ear, and I was all over the shop. I mean, that was really unpleasant, you know, like playing with an ear, like not being able to properly get balance, and that was not nice at all, you know what I mean? But I don't really look after it at all. I mean, when we're in the studio, I drink tea with honey, you know, or a lot. I drink like 3 flasks a day of honey tea. So by the end of it, I'm so out of my mind on caffeine, you know, that I have to sort of sit in a corner somewhere and try and shrug the effects off. But apart from that, I don't really do anything to it at all. I'm really, really lucky, you know, in that I don't have too many problems.
Yeah, I mean, they've done like, 9 studio albums and a mini album and a few EPs and all that, and I think, you know, for a band who've released that many records, the quality control has always been really high. There's maybe been one or two albums that don't quite measure up to the very best of what they do, but the vast majority of what they've released is fucking amazing, you know. And, they obviously care very strongly about what they do, and that comes through. You know, it's not just a matter of banging out another album. You know, all their albums are very much sound like a lot of effort's gone into them. You know, and, they're amazing musicians. You know, the lyrics are always really intelligent, and you know, as I say, always about something important. The last album, and in the music business, is probably the best thing they've ever done. You know, so considering they've been going for 15 years plus, it's pretty impressive, really, for any band. You know, but for a band who are essentially an underground band that don't have vast amounts of money behind them and all the rest of them, to still be kind of peaking at this point, you know, is pretty impressive, really.
For us, and for me, certainly, it's much more than just what level of success you can attain. You know, it's the pride in the fact that we've retained our identity. We are, although we never take it to heart, we are considered as like pioneers and stuff. You know. So it's a little different for us. It's not a pure sort of materialistic thing. It's the fact that we're doing it on our own terms, you know, against the things that we've gone through, and we're just carrying it forward, you know.
There's nothing happening backstage. This is me making my coffee. Doing the Green Mile. Again. Well, they're fucking blasting Gran, and they've been doing it for, what, fucking 12 years now. They're the innovators of the scene. 16, oh, sorry. No, they're still doing what they've been doing for like 16 years, like he says. They're still doing it. Blasting away. That's the pure fucking love for the music and the scene. Anything else?
My old man got me into Wasp and Guns N' Roses and my auntie bought me...
I started off with Queen and Megadeth, and I just got heavier from that and never looked back.
Yeah, my auntie got me Scum. I was little.
She gave you more than that.
Yeah, no.
Too many fucking dreadlocks and again. Crust. Haven't brushed it for a long time. Hey, but it gotta look good for a camera, you know what I mean? It's not working though.
Napalm Death are fucking excellent. Man, the latest album, Enemy of the Music Business, it's the best fucking album they've done in like 10 years. Seriously, I fucking love that album.
I saw them at Christmas. They were fucking excellent. It was like a war in your fucking head, man. It was great.
The best thing is, they're finally starting to get the recognition they deserve. I mean, getting the fucking cover of Kerrang! Did you see that? Man, cover of Kerrang!
Good cup of tea over there.
My friend, is what you have to avoid. The classic piss stain before going on stage. Definitely avoid that. But that's a tradition that unfortunately I uphold every night. What can you do? You try.
No, I'm just with him.
Massive fan, have been since Utopia Banished. I've seen them play all around the world, including Australia. They only get better. They're absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see them this evening.
It's like shagging an old bird. You don't know what you've been. You can't blame Escobar for low quality cocaine.
No, he's not bad. He's a social icon. He really done it for more than fucking lot of people then. Not just to pay, invest a lot of money for poor people and stuff like that. He built his own jail, don't you remember that? Yeah. With pool and swimming pool and stuff like that.
How you feeling at the moment, Barney?
My sphincter's twitching a little bit. Yeah. I'm a little bit nervous. To be really brutally honest.
So, it still hits. You must have done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but still, it's always the same. Before it's especially when you haven't done one for a while. You know, it's quite daunting.
So does that tend to disappear as soon as you get on the stage?
Yeah, once you get into a couple of songs or whatever, tend to sort of settle into a, you know.
Napalm Death, one of my first death metal bands, what I've heard, what I like, and basically it's a big pleasure for me now to be here, and I can be on their gigs, and it means for me a lot.
I found it ironic to come down tonight because Napalm Death is such a brutal band, and everything about them is about aggression. And yet they're raising money for charity for something so peaceful, which is against fox hunting. It just proves that what metal is about is a peaceful outlet for your aggression, and everything that pisses you off in everyday life, everything that grates at you inside, you can find a decent, creative, productive outlet for. Get up on stage and scream, get into the mosh pit, hurt people, it's all good fun, and at the end of the day, everybody will be much happier, and there's no need to go out in the streets and have fights and anything like that. Because metal.
Not too bad, a little nervous because it's first gig for a while, you know. And you always get nervous anyway, you never tend to lose that, you know. I think, so then you always sort of have, you know, little jitters before you go on. The first couple of songs are always a bit nerve-wracking. And then you settle down. And hopefully nothing goes too wrong, basically. But you know, something always goes a little bit here and there. But yeah, just a bit nervous. My first sober gig for a long time, so you know.
Is it really? Yeah, is that
well, I did a couple on the last European tour, but I always like to have a couple of beers before, you know, calm the nerves. So, you know, too much Coke today as well, as in not, you know, the drinking kind.
Not that kind.
No, not that kind. No. Not that kind. Not for me. I'd fall asleep. You can't. Well, it's very hard to grind on marijuana, I believe. I think it is anyway.
Hello, mate. What do you actually find you enjoy it doing it sober? Is that going to be a new?
Well, I think you know, I've done a few gigs before, and it's all right. You know, it's good. I mean, I feel nice bit of energy. You know, Barn plays sober all the time. In fact, he is sober all the time.
That's all right. I like that.
Hello, yeah. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do tonight with his new haircut.
Yeah.
Well, is that a recent thing, chopping the hair?
Yeah, it's very recent, yeah.
Do you think the fans are worried about that?
People don't care about that stuff, I don't think.
I mean, I've been,
if they did, it would be a very sad situation, I think. But no, I don't know. I mean, it's strange, you know, but it's actually easier because, I mean, I used to have, you know, like everyone else, really long hair, but I used to get a lot of like fur balls almost, you know, because you're sucking down hair, you know, when you're singing. So it's definitely going to be easier, and easier's better. It's always better. Really.
Must spend teenage youth drunk and spliffing, moshing.
I'm playing Skullblock and my name is Gorkas. I come from Spain. And I really, really like Napalm Death since I was like 12 years old. So for me this is like a dream became true, just be able to support them.
Familiar position for Jesse.
I'm gonna fart.
I mean, ever thought about getting a personal trainer or?
Not really, no. No, I could probably do one, probably. You know, to get into that time where I could do with a bit of a, you know, physiotherapist, so to speak. Some young Chinese girl to jump up and down on my back would be quite nice, to be honest. But no, not really. You know.
Loosen up the old wrists. But I like to do it earlier in the day, really. Not too close to gig time. Don't want to wear myself out before I have to. That's it.
Is this what you sometimes knock down?
Not really. This is just for relaxing.
The whole politics of the band.
Politics.
The politics of the band. The music. Very good.
All the morals are fucking cool, man.
Shit, man, it's good. It's good, man.
Alright.
So you got about 10 minutes.
I know, I just noticed. I started panicking.
Has there ever been a moment where you've sort of missed the time?
Well, I woke up once and the intro was on, and I ran in, and then they weren't playing, but I ran through the people on the stage.
Yeah, great metal, well, metal, hardcore, thrash metal, call it what you like, I think they're a great band. Yeah, superb stuff.
How you doing? JJ Marauder from Raising Cane here. Come to see Napalm Death at Euler, one of the best bands in Britain at the moment because they care about animal rights. We do as well, but Napalm have the name and they have the albums. The material's real strong. They'll never let you down. By the way, Barney's vegetarian. Good enough reason to come and see them. Don't be a silly. Check them out.
Very important. Extreme pain. Hortalitas.
What is that, 5 minutes? 2 minutes?
2 minutes. 1 minute.
Blah 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 blah. Over 5 years, definitely. Hello. Very good music, you know. Always sorry for there on the stage, you know. Everyone have to enjoy it. Really good energy. If those guys playing, it's just energy, you know. Everything just like cool.
Sexy band? Sexy band?
Yeah, like original.
You're doing good looking? See if it turns around immediately.
They're just legends, man. Legends. Total legends.
So good.
Yeah.
They're just a well good band. They're just well extreme. So I was always looking for like the band that I could find the most extreme band of all time. I found it in Napalm Death, basically.
It's a fucking long walk.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Look down.
Sweaty arse in there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Have a good one, Barn. Shane.
Rude, you do the honours and bring it with you.
I'll carry it.
Bring, no, they clear me, bring.
Alright, can we all turn over, guys?
What a labyrinth.
Spiral Tap, remember it?
Labyrinth.
Yo,
Damn sure no, it's not yours, fool.
You be knowing this shit.
Knowing this shit. There's two on top of your amp and there's two on the little plectrum thing. Hello? Yeah, stick it down on me. I think it'd be a good show.
Sounds good.
There's two on your plectrum delivery machine. Okay. Which I've invented today.
Here we go. Palpitations.
Give a little some. Give a little some. Go. Let's go for it.